Hello all, welcome to my channel Codify with Sonal. Today I will be starting a new tutorial on AWS Cloud Practitioner. If you guys want to know how to clear and what all to refer for your course details, you can check out my previous tutorial. I'll put it in the I button you can see on the top. My approach towards this tutorial is a little different. I won't be teaching you the services and giving lot of this theory lectures, but I would show you the real exam questions, what kind of practice questions you get in the practice test. Due to this, what will happen? You'll find a new way of learning that we will learn the services, understand the services, and also you'll be practicing the questions. So you'll be highly prepared for your exam. So please don't treat it as dumps. It is not a dump, but I'll be teaching all the services, whatever you see in the questionnaires. And let's start. So the first question says, which of the following are benefits of migrating to the cloud? So now why people want to migrate to the cloud, right? That's the first most important question what you will get in your mind when you start studying cloud. So is it some that you're getting some discounts on Amazon? Obviously not, right? So and moreover you'll want to increase your staff retention, you want to retain your staff or something. No. And whereas business excellence occurs, business excellence is about how you can improve your business in terms of like how to manage your business and all. So that's not what AWS does, not manage what you have to do in your business. Okay. Now, coming to operational resilience, what do you mean by this term? Let's see this term first. So, operational resilience means giving you security, giving you safety, and continuity of operations. So, what happens is due to some disaster or whatsoever, AWS has such mechanisms through which your business can even run in disaster problems. So, it has highly managed services which you can use to have secured, safe, and continuity of operations. So definitely why you want to move to cloud, you want to have operational resilience is one. And as our answers question suggested, give us two answers. So let's see what is business agility. Now business agility means what? Change. So AWS can easily adapt the change in less time and reduce the cost without affecting your quality. So that's the best part, right? You want to reduce your cost without getting the quality affected, will attract you more customers basically. So yeah, so our answer to this question is operational resilience and business agility. Next. Now, which AWS service or feature allows users to connect with and deploy AWS services programmatically? Option 1, AWS Management Console. No. Why? Because AWS Management Console is your service console through which you manage your AWS services. It will not allow you to, programmatically manage the thing. No. Cloud9 is basically our AWS Cloud IDE, which lets you run your code, debug your code with just a browser. Then SDK, software development kits. So software development kits are the ones which helps you in simplifying your code by providing the JavaScript objects for AWS services. Every language has its own AWS SDK. Java SDK. For Java, you have an AWS SDK. For Python, you have an AWS SDK. So next we come to code pipeline. So what is code pipeline? It's a fully managed continuous delivery service that helps you automate your release pipelines, fast and reliable application and infrastructure updates. So to users to connect with and deploy AWS services programmatically is code pipeline. Next question. A company wants to migrate its workloads to AWS, but it lacks expertise in AWS cloud computing. Which AWS service or feature will help the company with its migration? Now, what it is trying to ask is that if I want to migrate my company business to cloud, but I do not know what is cloud computing, I have no idea, and whom should I go for help, and how can I make my migration smooth and easy? So, trusted advisor. So, what is AWS trusted advisor? They give you some recommendations that help you follow the best practices. Like you can trust them and they will give you advice how you can have your best practices to follow AWS migrations and stuff. So, this will not help us, to understand completely how to migrate. It will just tell you what are the best practices you can get for AWS. Next, coming to artifacts. So, artifacts are what? It is a central resource for compliance related information. Okay. So, again, that won't help you in the migration process. Now, managed services is what? Set of services for automating infrastructure management. So, the correct answer is AWS Consulting Partners. They help you design, architect, build, and migrate and manage your applications in the cloud, and also the workload. They suggest you what way you can migrate your project. So, the answer to this question is AWS Consulting Partners. Next question. Which AWS service or tool should a company use to centrally request and track service limit increases? Okay, now every service will be having some limit. So before you go to the high bill payments, we really want to see how can you limit the services, right? So what is AWS config? It is a service that enables you to access, audit, and evaluate the configurations of your AWS resources. Okay. Next, what is AWS Service Catalog? It allows organizations to create and manage catalogs of IT services that are approved for use on AWS. It's like what service does what and how you create and how you manage the service, a kind of catalog for that. Okay, like how you have a catalog for the products, right? Similarly. Now, budget helps you set the custom cost and usage budgets so that you get an alert when the threshold are exceeded. Suppose here you can set a alarm also that whenever I exceed $100, so that time I should get an alarm so that I know, okay, fine, my budget is being exceeding, I need to take care about it. So the correct answer to this question is the maximum number of resources that you can create in an AWS account. You have a service quotas, so it gives you a way to centrally request and track service limit increases. Next, which task requires using AWS account root user credentials? Now, coming to this, viewing the billing information, like if I have a root account and I have sub accounts for developers, for my production people, for my QA people, if I have different AWS accounts. Okay, so anyone who is using my service, I can give them the ability to view the billing option. Okay, so for that I don't need, okay, fine, only the root account user has to sign in and check the billing information. Starting and stopping EC2 instances, obviously not. EC2 instances are what? They are compute instances, how you have your computer, right? So EC2 is like a virtual computer, I would say. Then opening and AWS support case. No, if you have encountered any problem in your service, you can open a AWS support case, the team through which you can talk to and they can help you solve the problem in your service. So the main task which requires out of these to use your account root credentials is if you want to change the AWS support plan. I'll do a detailed video on AWS support plans because there are a lot of points to discuss on that. Which AWS services can be used to connect the AWS cloud and on-premise resources? So you have some data in your on-premise resource and you have it in AWS. How will you connect those? So let's see each options one by one. What is AWS managed services? So managed services is like a complete package of enabling, building, and operating to help you adopt AWS, help your business to adopt AWS. So what happens in enablement is that it will create a baseline, and as you can see like here in the diagram, that it picks up input one by one and tries to process it. In the next step, it tries to understand that what can be the fastest way to integrate, develop and migrate your workloads, and then finally it starts its operations, which gives you operational outcome and which benefits you with all these points, like integrate improved security, focus on automation, then stronger compliance, reduced operating cost, simplified management, and frictionless innovation. So, from the exam point of view, you really need to understand the services better, like how it works and in what scenario you want to use it. Okay. So let's see the next one, that is AWS managed VPN. So this is what the Amazon VPC. Okay, one thing, the all the images what I have taken from AWS documentation. So I'll put the link down in the description box. You guys can check if you want to read more about it. So now coming to AWS managed VPN. So this is like in Amazon, everything inside a VPC, okay, in AWS. So inside VPC you have AZs. What is AZ? AZ is a data center, okay. So you can have two or more data centers, okay. So this is my one AZ, this is my second AZ. They have VPC subnet 1, subnet 2 and EC2. EC2 we saw last time, it's a virtual computer. Okay. Then here you have a virtual private gateway is a part of your VPC, which gets a IP secured, internet protocol secured connection to your on-premise location, which has a customer gateway through which it is attached. So virtual private gateway gets attached to the through the IPsec to customer gateway is one way to connect with your AWS cloud and to your on-premise location. So as in the question we saw, we need two correct answers. So this is one of them. Now coming to cloud HSM. So cloud HSM is basically when you want to encrypt your cryptographic operations you want to perform on your key management and all. Cloud HSM provisions and manage your own single tenant HSM. HSM is hardware security models to generate and use your own encryption keys. And how it monitors using CloudWatch and provisions audit logs to provision, backup and restore HSM to upload it to the customer account. This all it does by the Cloud Trail service. So next coming to Direct Connect. So what is Direct Connect? Direct Connect allows a customer, a business basically, to establish a dedicated network connection between your location and your office or your business data center. Next coming to Amazon Connect. So Amazon Connect is a package of agent and managers. Agent has the effective tool and one UI to deliver productive customer conversations. Manager is like an machine learning powered contact center where you can set up your call quickly and if you want to make changes in minutes, not months. And why is this useful? It is useful for fast, secure, high quality, personalized customer service. So, what's the correct answer? AWS Managed VPN and AWS Direct Connect. Coming to next question. Which service supports resolution of public domains to IP addresses or AWS resources? Public domain names, the key word here. Public domain names to IP addresses. Now, what is SNS? SNS is a pub sub model of messaging. It's a notification service. It stands for simple notification service. Okay, this is the diagram. So you have a publisher who wants to publish some messages on the AWS management console customer interface, okay, or through the SDK APIs, and the monitoring and CloudWatch matrix you can check it in the AWS CloudWatch service. So our question was regarding domain names. So this is one of the option. Let's see why not other option. Now a hosted zone. Hosted zone is also a part if you study comes under Route 53. So hosted zone is a container of records, and records contain information how you want to route. In this hosted zone, there are two types: public hosted zone and private hosted zone. So public hosted zone contain records that specify how you want to route the traffic on the internet. And what private hosted zone will do is it will see how to route the traffic in the Amazon VPC, not on the internet. Okay, that's the difference between private and public hosted zone. Now coming to CloudFront. You have seen when you log in into Netflix in a different country, like suppose if I am in Germany and if I am in India, it will automatically your Netflix will understand that okay, now I am connected to India, so I will show shows on in Indian account, and if you're connected to US or some other country, as I said Germany, it will show the shows according to Germany area. So how does that happen? That happens because there is an nearest edge location. Sorry, there's a nearest edge location. Okay, that is in the form of AWS CloudFront. Okay, what it does is it caches and serves the static and dynamic content. When end user requests something, then it will check if it has it in the nearest location in the form of CloudFront. If it has in the nearest edge location, then it will give it to that. So what happens, your like instead of querying the actual server, it caches and it keeps it that if this query comes I will give it. Every cache has a TTL, a time to live. So according to that, if the cache it's there in cache, it will give it. If not, it will go and query the main server. Okay, so the correct answer is we needed public domain names to IP addresses. So you saw right, Route 53 DNS resolver and all that concept. So the correct answer is Route 53. So next, which service is used to enable multi-factor authentication? Now let's see the services one by one. Now, security token service. It helps, it, as it said, the word says token. So, what it does is enables you to request temporary limited privilege credentials for limited time. It gives you some credentials through which you can log in and your users can authenticate. Then EC2 we have seen in the last video. It is a virtual computer where you can run your applications. Then IAM is Identity Access Management. It is a framework of policies and technologies to ensure that the right users have the appropriate access to the technology resources. So in the root account, when you create a root account to log in inside AWS, that time when you want to enable multi-factor authentication, you use IAM service. We'll see what is KMS also. KMS is key management system that lets you create, manage and control cryptographic keys. So the correct answer to this is AWS IAM. This is very important from the exam point of view. You will definitely have one question regarding multi-factor authentication in the exam. Next, which AWS service is primarily used for software version control? So Cloud9, I'll not talk about. We have already seen in the earlier video that it's an IDE used in browser IDE by given by AWS. Then CodeStar is when you provide the tools you need to quickly develop, build and deploy applications on AWS. Then the Code Deploy, it automates your application deployments. Code Commit, it is a secure, high scalable, managed source control service that hosts private Git repositories. Straightforward approaches. Okay, so the correct answer is Code Commit. Why? Because it will control how you host, and you're having the source control in it. Once you commit, then it will have another versions. So according to that, the answer is Code Commit. Next, which of the following is a principle of good AWS architecture design? So, monolithic design. So, now what is monolithic design? That you have the whole application, single application for the whole project. For what happens if you make a single change and that does not work well with you? So, what will happen? The application will crash. The whole application will crash. So, you in it monolithic design follows tight coupling because it is tightly coupled to each other. If anything fails, it is the application is completely down. Then coming to implement single points of failure. That's what AWS wants to avoid, that it should not have a single point of failure. So it can never be a good design of AWS architecture. Then coming to ver- uh, vertical scaling. Now let me explain you what is horizontal, what is vertical. So horizontal scaling means that you scale by adding more EC2 machines into your pool of services. Okay, that means if you're not able to manage with one machine, you're adding another machine. If you're not, a third machine, fourth machine, this way you are keeping on adding resources. Okay, and what vertical scaling means is that you add more power to an existing EC2 machine. Like suppose you can increase the RAM, you can increase the vCPU limit. Horizontal scaling combined with a loosely coupled architecture introduce an additional level of resiliency. So what does loosely coupled architecture say? It reduces the interdependencies, so that one change, like you have microservices, so one change in one microservice will not affect the other. Like it should be independent, you should have very less interdependencies, so that will it will not cascade to other components failure. So that is a better design of AWS cloud architecture. Which AWS support plan comes with a technical account manager? Now, this is regarding the support plans what we have for developer, business, enterprise, and basic. So let me just show you the AWS docs where we have this plans in detail. So here you can go to this link, awsamazon.com premium support plans. So here you will find developer, business, enterprise, on-ramp and enterprise. So you have trusted advisor checks. These are only service quota and basic security checks in developer, full set of checks in all others. So this way you can come general guidance, system impaired, and how much time it takes for the production downtime. This is very important. Okay, like for if you take an enterprise one, which most of the big enterprises do take, so in less than 1 hour the production system downtime. Our question was regarding technical account manager. So yes, enterprise is the one, enterprise, on ramp and enterprise. So this is the one which has TAM assigned to it rather than developer or business. Okay, and what it does is proactively monitor your environment and assist with optimization and coordinate access to programs and AWS experts. Let's go back to the question. So the correct answer is enterprise. Next, coming to which pricing options are available when using Amazon EC2 reserved instances. So now, as we discussed last time, EC2 is a compute service. Okay, it's a virtual computer. So you have various types of EC2 request you can make based on what way how much you want to use. Like if you want on demand instance, reserved instance if you want for 1 year or 3 year term. Okay, so in that you have, what happens is you either pay all upfront or you either pay partial upfront. So the correct answer to this is all upfront and partial upfront. I'll put the link for reading about this in detail in the description box. So which database allows you to scale at the push of a button without incurring any downtime? So it's a fancy term that let's say that you can scale your instance resources using graphical user interface. Like within a push of a button, within a click, you can either change the size of your instance, memory, CPU, disk, either up or down. It's given to you only by DynamoDB. So the correct answer is DynamoDB. Next, which IAM entity can be used for assigning permissions to AWS services? So now let's go option by option. What it is saying, assigning permissions to AWS services, okay? Not defining, assigning. IAM access key ID and secret access key. This is the form of signing in to your AWS account in a programmatic way. Okay. IAM policy is used to define the permissions, what kind of permissions you have to give. Okay. And so security token service I won't be discussing. I have discussed in my previous video in part 2. You can just check it out. I'll put the link in the I button above. And let's see what is IAM role. I'll explain you. Now I'll give a very general life example so that you understand in detail. Okay. See, suppose it's a story of a mom and daughter and her mom's friend. Okay. So the mom says, Sia, can you please bring some stuff from my friend's house? She says, okay, mom. And then she goes to her aunt and she says, Aunt, I have come to take mom's stuff. She might have called you. So that aunt says, yes, I will give it to you, Sia. So now the role is very clear here. For this lady, this person is her friend's daughter. And for Sia, this person is her aunt, her mom's friend. Okay, that's the reason they can communicate to each other. Similarly, if AWS services do not know each other, they will not be able to communicate. So to communicate to each other, they should be given a role. So the correct answer is IAM role. Hopefully this example helped you understand what is IAM role exactly. Now, what are edge locations used for? Okay, we studied this when we were studying CloudFront in the earlier video. So they are public facing APIs for S3? No. They are used for terminating VPN connections? No. They are used by regions for inter-region and connectivity? No. They are used by CloudFront for caching content. Because what CloudFront does is it has various edge locations. On the edge location, it will store its cached data. And once the user requests, it will go to the nearest edge location. Do you have my data? Yes, I do. So it will give you the data. It will not go and query the main server. That's what CloudFront caching content is about. Which pillar of the AWS well architected framework refers to the ability of a system to recover from infrastructure or service disruptions and dynamically acquire computing resources to meet demand? So it is like if you have any service issues and you want to recover the infrastructure which is built, so and also you want to dynamically on the go, you want to acquire the computing resources. Okay. So security, reliability, performance efficiency, or cost optimization. So to see that, we'll go through the well architected frameworks. So here I am on the AWS Amazon.com, Amazon Docs of AWS. For there are 6 pillars. Okay. So operational excellence. Operational excellence is all about improving, continuously improving, and responding to events, automating changes, defining standards to manage daily operations. Okay. For example, if you are working in a company, are you filling the timesheets on a daily note? This is one of the operational events you have. Coming to security, security word itself tells you that it has to be confidential, it has to be permission oriented, it has to have controls, integrity of data. Now coming to reliability, reliability focuses on workloads perform their intended functions and how to recover quickly from failure. Can you see this, how to recover quickly from failure? So this is one of our pointers in our question. Okay. Then coming to performance efficiency includes selecting resource types and size optimized for workload requirements. Why? Because how much you need, that much only you need to acquire. So this way you can increase your performance. Okay, and also maintain efficiency in that performance. Cost optimization, as we said that AWS is pay as you go. You do not have to pay for the whole product for the time when you're not using it. Only you have to pay for how much you're using it. Sustainability pillar. So sustainability pillar focuses on minimizing the environmental impacts of running cloud workloads. Key topics include a shared responsibility model. Guys, a shared responsibility model is very important for cloud practitioner, and also to understand, to know what are the customer responsibilities and what are the responsibilities of AWS. Understanding the impact and maximizing utilization to minimize required resources. How can you have the max utilization? Like, how can you sustain well in the cloud is about sustainability pillar. Okay, so these are the six pillars, and these are very important from the exam point of view. Coming back to our question, so the answer we have seen, it is reliability. Coming to next question, a company wants to review its monthly cost of using EC2 and RDS for the past year. Which AWS service or tool provides this information? Okay, now the focus point is here monthly cost of using the services, compute service and database service for the past year. Now, many people have a problem that Cost Explorer only sees the forecast. No, Cost Explorer also lets you see the last 12 months record. So I'll just show you. So now this is AWS Cost Explorer. Okay, it's an visually you can understand how how you can manage your cost over time. Okay, I'll put the link in the description box so that you can read more about it. The main pointer which I was talking about is AWS prepares the data about your cost for the current month and the last 12 months. Okay, so our question was regarding the last year. So that's what I said, that it is current month as well as the last year. So 12 months, right? First of all, AWS Trusted Advisor. Trusted Advisor, I won't be talking in this session. We have already discussed it in previous session. So you can check out in the playlist. Cost Explorer, we saw how it works. And Amazon Forecast. Amazon Forecast is basically a machine learning way of getting the accurate forecast of the weather. CloudWatch also we have seen in the previous video. So let's not waste time on that. So the correct answer for this question is Cost Explorer. Next, a company plans to create a data lake that uses Amazon S3. Which factor will have the most effect on cost? Now, you will think the question is about data lake. In this Amazon exams, consider that you read the question 2 times or 3 times, because the question is about what you have to check first. Okay, now a company plans to create a data lake that uses Amazon S3. So which factor will have the most effect on cost? It's not about data lake, it's about most effect on cost on storing in S3. Okay, so selection of S3 storage tiers, yes, it matters on the basis of cost. Charges to transfer existing data into S3, no. Addition of S3 bucket policies, no. Ingest fees for each request, no. So the correct answer for this is selection of S3 storage tiers. Coming to storage tiers, you have S3 divided into intelligent tiers, standard storage, infrequent access. Just go through all the storage tiers to understand things. Okay. So the correct answer to this is selection of S3 storage tiers. But before that, I would also like to explain you what is data lake, because it's a new pointer as of now. So what is data? Everybody knows information that can be used for to understand or make analysis out of something, right? Now, something that the word is data silos. Silos is like a collection of data. It is held by one group that is not easily or fully accessible by other group. Suppose the finance handling team in your company will not share the finance data with you. Correct. So it is like a data held by one group which is not accessible to other groups in the same organization. Okay. Now, what is a data lake? Data lake is a system, or you can say it is a repository of data stored in its natural or raw format. Okay. You can store data as it is. You don't have to worry about the structure or something like that. And out of that, you can make your analytics, you can do some machine learning on it, you can do on-premise data movement, real-time data movement. You can do anything out of this data lake basically. The diagram is taken from the AWS docs. I'll put the link in the description box. Okay, so we have seen the correct answer for this. Coming to the next question. A company is launching an e-commerce application that must always be available. The application will run on EC2 instances continuously for the next 12 months. What is the most cost effective instance purchasing option that meet these requirements? Let's see the options. So first is spot instances. Spot instances is like a bidding system. So whoever bids the highest will get it. So continuously for next 12 months, not possible. We'll see saving plans. Dedicated host. Now dedicated host is like a physical server dedicated completely to you. Now let's see saving plans. What are saving plans? Okay. So I'll go to Amazon Docs. So saving plan is a flexible pricing model offering lower prices compared to on demand. On demand is very costly. Okay. So saving plan is like a you can have 1 year or 3 year terms. Okay. So we are asked in the question about 12 months. So 1 year term that follows a year. Okay. So saving plans is will be the correct answer. On demand is very costly and we need to have the most cost effective. So on demand cannot be the choice. Coming to next question, which documentation does AWS Artifact provide? EC2 terms and conditions, no. Artifact is more about ISO and certifications. Yeah, so AWS ISO certifications. A history of companies AWS pending, no, that will be there in the billing management services. A list of previous generation EC2 instance types, no, that's not what Artifact is about. Artifact is about ISO certifications. So coming here, Artifact is your go-to central resource for compliance related information that matters to you. Okay, it provides on-demand access to AWS security and compliance reports and select online agreements. Okay, so that's what Artifact is about. It has nothing to do with AWS pending EC2 terms and conditions or previous generation EC2 instance types. Which duties are the responsibility of a company that is using AWS Lambda? Okay, so now the if you have seen shared responsibility models and all these are very important. Okay, so now coming to Lambda, it is a serverless compute service, correct? We know all this. So now what all duties are your as at the end as a company, and what are the duties of AWS Lambda? Okay, so security inside of the code. Yes, you are writing the code, so your code has to be secured by yourself only, not by Lambda. Okay, it will secure the code outside, but inside of code is your duty. Selection of CPU resources, it is not at all your duty, as they are saying serverless compute service. It is AWS duty to select the proper CPU resources. Patching of operating systems and security of the infrastructure is also AWS responsibility. Coming towards company's responsibility, the inside security of the code and your writing and updating of the code, that is all your responsibility, as in the company's responsibility. So the correct answer to this is security inside of the code and writing and updating the code. Okay, let's go ahead. A company is migrating to the AWS cloud instead of running its infrastructure on premises. Which of the following are advantages of this migration? You have to choose two answers. Be careful with this. Read your question thoroughly so that you know, in case you are right, but read the question that you have to choose two answers. Okay, and make sure if you do not know the answer, please choose an answer randomly, because there is no negative marking. In case you are right, you will get the marks. Okay, so let's go with the options. Elimination of the need to perform security auditing, no, because still you need some security to manage at your level, right? So this cannot be the answer. Then increased global reach and agility. Yes, you are reaching globally through AWS. Agility is the ability, to quickly provision new resources, new apps. So you can work on your frameworks, you can work on your designing, your coding. You don't have to worry about the infrastructure. Okay. So ability to deploy globally in minutes. Yes. Okay. Then elimination of the cost of IT staff members. We are not saying that deploy on AWS so that you can eliminate IT staff. No, you should train them in AWS and go ahead and make them AWS sufficient to create stuff. Okay. Redundancy by default for all compute services. No. So the correct answer is increase global reach and agility and ability to deploy globally in minutes. Okay. Next, a company needs to simultaneously process hundreds of requests from different users. Okay. At a time, hundreds of requests are to be processed by different users, not a single user. Which combination of AWS services should the company use to build an operationally efficient solution? So this is highlighting towards, distributing request. So we have simple queue service which distributes request. Okay. An operationally efficient solution, we need hundreds of requests to process simultaneously. Okay. So the best combination of these services would be SQS and Lambda, data pipeline and EC2, no, Kinesis and Athena, no, Amplifier and AppSync. So these all has its own abilities of the services. So the point which mentions here is hundreds of requests from different users. So you should understand it is distributing request. SQS, you should have that way the things in mind. Okay, this point you should click that in mind. Next, what is the scope of a VPC within the AWS network? Okay, so now what is VPC? It is a logically isolated piece of AWS cloud dedicated to your company. Okay, you can run your applications in it. You have the infrastructure setup which is managed by AWS. Okay, so VPC belongs to a region and spans all AZs. So the correct answer to this is a VPC can span all AZs within an AWS region. Which of the following are components of an AWS site-to-site VPN? Choose two. Obviously, you have to have two components, right? So now, first coming to storage gateway. So what is storage gateway? It is a hybrid cloud storage service that gives you on-premise access to virtually unlimited cloud storage. It has none of concern with site-to-site VPN. Okay. So now next coming to virtual private gateway. VPN endpoint on Amazon site. Okay, this is VPG is what? It is a VPN endpoint of Amazon side of AWS. Okay, it's AWS side endpoint that can be attached to a single VPC. Okay, NAT gateway, no, it is used to connect instances in private subnet to the outside of your VPC. So customer gateway is the other endpoint of site to site VPN. Okay. And what is IGW? Internet gateway. Internet gateway allows resources in your VPC to connect to the internet. Okay. So give a thorough read on what all these gateways are and why it is used. Okay. So correct answer to this is virtual private gateway and customer gateway. Virtual private gateway on the AWS side and customer gateway on the other side of the VPN. Okay. Next question. A company needs to establish a connection between two VPCs. The VPCs are located in two different AWS regions. The company wants to use the existing infrastructure of the VPCs for this connection. Which AWS service or feature can be used to establish this connection? Okay, so now they are talking about two VPCs in different AWS regions. Okay, that means what? One VPC wants to talk to other VPC. Okay, so that is like VPC peering. Okay, we have already covered what is client VPN, direct connect, VPC endpoints. All these points we have covered in our previous videos. So I would not like to spend more time on that. So the correct answer to this is VPC peering, when one VPC wants to talk to the another VPC. Okay. Next, coming to the next question, according to the AWS shared responsibility model, what responsibility does a customer have when using RDS to host a database? So, as we discussed earlier also, AWS shared responsibility model is one of the most important topic in this exam. I'm telling you this in almost all the videos. Please study this thoroughly. Shared responsibility model, well architecture model, all these are very important from CPP exam. And also to understand, as they say, foundation of AWS. Okay. So now when they say it they want to know what is the customer responsibility. Okay. So manage connections to the database. Yes, it is a customer's responsibility. If you give the wrong connections, definitely things will not work, correct? So managing the connections to be correct or to be updated is all customer's responsibility. So we have got 1 hour can be answer. Okay. But do not forget to check the other points, as I always say. So installing, designing, applying minor database patches, encryption at rest, installing some things, all these are AWS responsibilities. Okay, because AWS says don't worry about infrastructure, we will do everything and keep you, just put and pitch in your code and work. So manage connections to the database. Next, a user needs to determine whether an EC2 instance security groups were modified in the last month. How can the user see if a change was made? Okay, so now here they are talking about there were some modifications done and we want to see what was the change made. Okay, so if you use EC2, there is no point, right? Because EC2 is a compute service and it has a security group, but what were the changes will not be listed in EC2. We say user activity. Okay, now when you see user activity, first thing that should come into your mind is CloudTrail. Okay, this is a keyword. Remember, user activity, CloudTrail. So use AWS CloudTrail to see if the security group was changed is the correct answer. But coming to IAM, no, IAM is used for managing your users, roles, groups and all. And CloudWatch is not for this reason, because CloudWatch is for putting up your alarms, checking up your logs, but not for uh, not for tracking the user activity. Okay, for that we have CloudTrail. So the correct answer is use CloudTrail. Coming to the next question, which AWS service or feature acts as a firewall for Amazon EC2 instances? Okay. So now network ACL. Network ACL is what? Network ACL acts as a firewall for subnet. Okay. So what is ENI? ENI is virtual network card within VPC through which you can enable network connectivity. Okay. So, and VPC, you know what is VPC now. I will not highlight on that, please. So, security group. So, yes, security group acts as a firewall for EC2 instances. It controls the incoming and outgoing traffic. Okay. Okay, so now coming to the next question, a company's on-premise application deployment cycle was 3 to 4 weeks. After migrating to the AWS cloud, the company can deploy the application in 2 to 3 days. Which benefit has this company experienced by moving to the AWS cloud? Okay, so now let's go for the options. First of all, what is it asking? Earlier when they had their on-premise application, so that time they used to deploy within 3 to 4 weeks, but now after AWS cloud, after migrating to AWS cloud, now they can deploy the application easily in 2 to 3 days. Okay, so what benefit did they get? So let's see, elasticity. In elasticity is the ability to cope with changing demands. Here they are not talking about changing demands. Okay, flexibility. So what is flexibility? Flexibility enables you to, select any operating system, any programming language. So you don't have a load on what type of software I need to select. You can select whatever you want. Okay. Again, this is not pointing to the question. Resilience. Coming to resilience is about, upcoming from failure. You want to recover, okay, anything from failure. That is about resilience. So agility is the one through which you can quickly provision new resource and apps. That is the ability of agility. So the correct answer is agility. Global media company uses AWS organizations to manage multiple AWS accounts. Which AWS service or feature can the company use to limit the access to AWS services for member accounts? So now what is it asking here? It is asking you want the organization to manage multiple accounts, right? So now IAM, what it does is who or what can access, what services it can access. That is the duty of IAM. Service control policy. It is a policy that is specifies that the services and actions that the users and roles can use in the accounts, okay, and it can operate across organization units, okay. So this is one of the answer which we can say. So before finalizing it, I would like to go through the other options as well. Organizational units. So organizational units enable you to organize your accounts into a hierarchy, and that that makes it easier to apply management controls, okay. So like for example, in your office also you have manager, team leads. So what is one team lead is getting, the other team lead is also getting the same thing, same benefits according to the company rules, right? So that is why organizational units is used, so that you can apply the controls to the proper hierarchy, okay. Access control list is used to manage access to buckets and objects, okay. So the correct answer to this is service control policies, which allows us to limit the access to AWS services for member accounts. Coming to next question. A company wants to limit its employees' AWS access to a portfolio of predefined AWS resources. Which AWS solution should the company use to meet this requirement? So now what it is asking is that a company needs that, okay, employees should refer a portfolio that we have these AWS resources which we can use in our company. So config is used for configuration of services, not for this portfolio kind of structure. SDK are a set of libraries which help you build AWS friendly code in your language like Java, Python or something. Service catalog. Yes, service catalog is the one which allows the organization to create and manage catalogs of IT services that are approved for use on AWS. Okay. So this is our answer. But what is AppSync? AppSync is the one which allows your applications to access exactly the data they need. Okay. It is mostly based on serverless GraphQL and all. So service catalog is the correct answer. So, an online company was running a workload on premises and was struggling to launch new products and features. After migrating the workload to AWS, the company can quickly launch products and features and can scale its infrastructure as required. Okay, so which AWS cloud value proposition does this scenario describe? So this point, similar kind of question, we have done it in the part 5 series of this. So this is very much simple. I would not like to highlight much on this because we have already covered it. Quickly launching the products is the example of agility. So the correct answer to this is business agility. Coming to the next question, which of the following are advantages of AWS cloud? AWS management of user owned infrastructure? No. Ability to quickly change required capacity? Yes, because that is one of our biggest concern, right? Today we have a amount of data, but now we have more amount of data and it is increasing day by day, and we need to worry about capacity if you are on your own you're having your own infrastructure. But if AWS is managing your infrastructure using elasticity, it can easily change the capacity, okay. High economies of scale. Why? Because you have pay as you go price. So yes. Increased deployment time to market. No, it is decreased in deployment time to market, right? Earlier in the part 5 series, we saw one question which said that 3 to 4 weeks it used to take when it was on premises, and when they migrated to AWS cloud, it takes 2 to 3 days. So definitely it has decreased, not increased. Increased fixed expenses. No, it is very economical, okay, because pay as you go price, and you have different models where you can select like on demand, for if I talk about compute, right? So on demand, reverse, on demand, reserved, spot instances, you can go as per your needs. Coming to the next question, AWS has the ability to achieve lower pay as you go pricing by aggregating usage across hundreds of thousands of users. This describes which advantage? Just now we discussed, okay? It is high economies of scale. So, launch globally in minutes is not an advantage of pricing, okay? Increase speed and agility, no. No guessing about compute capacity. So, for pay as you go pricing, this in aggregates which advantage? High economies of scale, okay? A company has a database server that is always running. The company hosts the server on EC2 instances. The instance size are suitable for the workload. Make your pointers. Instance size are suitable, that means they don't want a changing size. They are fine with that capacity. They don't want to change anything. They want to just run the database server, okay? The workload will run for a year. One more second point, it will run for 1 year, okay? So which is the most cost effective option? Which EC2 instance purchasing option will meet these requirements most cost effectively? Okay, so our pointers were fixed size, one year, okay, and most cost effective. 3 pointers. So now coming to standard reserved instances. Yes, because you know that it will be for 1 year, okay? When you go for 1 year, 3 year term way, then you should go for reserved instances, okay? And why not convertible? I'll tell you in a minute. On demand instances. On demand instances is pay as you go, like per hour, per second pricing, okay? So that is good, but it will not be cost effective compared to standard reserved instances. Spot instances, they want always running server. In the first line they have mentioned. So spot instances is what? It is a bidding system. If someone bids higher than you have to leave that instance and you have to look for another one. Till you don't get another instance, you have to wait. And this company cannot do that because they want a server which is always running, okay? Convertible reserved instances. So now I told you to mark the pointers, right? So our first pointer was instance sizes are suitable. Convertible, why you want to convert? When you know the size is suitable, you know it will run for 1 year, so go for standard reserved instance, okay? Next, a company is developing a mobile app that needs a high performance NoSQL database. Which AWS services could the company use for this database? Okay. Aurora. Aurora is Amazon database, but it is not a NoSQL database. RDS is not a NoSQL database. Redshift is a data warehouse. Okay. So you have only two options left. DocumentDB and DynamoDB are NoSQL databases. Next question. Which tasks are the responsibility of AWS according to the AWS shared responsibility model? I guess this type of question we have done a lot of times, and literally you need to tell me the answer to this. Okay. Patching guest operating system, no, it's a user responsibility. Upgrading the firmware of the network infrastructure, AWS responsibility. Apply password rotation for your IAM users. So when you are creating a user, you will apply password rotation policy, correct? Maintain the physical security. You don't have to worry about that, okay? That is AWS responsibility. Maintain least privilege access to the root user account. You need to protect your root user account, okay? So the correct answer is upgrade the firmware of the network infrastructure and maintain the physical security of edge locations, okay? Coming to the next one. Which of the following are features of NACLs as they are used in the AWS cloud? Choose two. So they are stateless, correct. NACL is stateless. So they are stateful, no. They evaluate all rules, no. NACLs process rules in order, okay, with the lowest numbered rule first, and then it will decide whether to allow traffic or not, okay. They operate at the instance level, no, they operate at the subnet level, okay. Which AWS service or feature can be used to create a private connection between an on-premises workload and an AWS cloud workload? So Route 53. Route 53 is a health check service. Massey is a data protection and security service. Now, difference between direct connect and private link. This is a very known difference where people get confused, okay? So now they have said private connection between on-premise and AWS cloud. When you want to have private connection within AWS, not about on premises and cloud, then go for private link. If you have on premises and cloud, then go for direct connect. So hopefully the session was useful today, and I'm ending the practice series of cloud practitioner with this video. And if you have any doubts, please let me know in the comment box. And if you're interested in solution architect, I'm doing a practice series, as well as I have shared the strategy plan to achieve AWS solution architect associate certificate. Please check that out. Also, if you're interested in Java, learning Java, I'm doing a core Java series. You can check that out. All the links are provided in the description box below. So stay happy, and let's codify with Sonal in the next video. Please like, share and subscribe my channel. Do not forget to hit the bell icon to get a notification of the updated video. Thank you.